Tariffs is not a good remedy for trade, for sure, because in the end of the day, those kind of strategies create inflation for the consumers. So in a situation when we add high coffee prices with tariffs, the rise of the tariffs, in the end of the day, the coffee will cost more for the consumers.
If the content we bring you on the podcast has helped you with your business or your career and you're looking for a way to financially support the independent production of this podcast, you can do that for as little as a few dollars a month by backing us on Patreon or becoming a paid subscriber on our YouTube channel. Another way to support us and continue your learning is to purchase one of our on-demand workshops available on our website, mapitforward.coffee/workshops. Check the show notes for links, and as always, thanks for the support. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of a brand new 5-part series. My guest on the podcast today is a very special guest. We have Vini Estrela, the president of the Brazilian Specialty Coffee Association. Kind of a big deal, and I'm very excited to have you on the podcast. Vini, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good and very excited to have a conversation about the specialty coffee in the world and specialty in Brazil.
You and I both, my friend. This is going to be a series about the specialty coffee market in Brazil in 2025. And for context, everybody understands that there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on in the entire coffee industry. Everything from pricing to logistical issues and tariffs, etc., etc. What is important for people to remember is that Brazil is the largest producer of coffee globally. It is also the second largest consuming country of coffee globally. So for many reasons, it is important for us to understand how the industry in Brazil, and in this case specifically the specialty coffee industry in Brazil, is experiencing a year like 2025, which is a very, very volatile year, which will have direct impacts that are wide-reaching for Brazil's specialty coffee industry, from producer all the way through to the consumer. So, Vini, we are going to get started by having you telling us who you are, what you do, and then telling us what the BSCA does. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm Vinicius Estrela. I'm the person in charge of BSCA, the Brazil Specialty Coffee Association, that aims to promote the specialty Brazilian coffee, creating connections between the specialty coffee community globally with our coffee. So to present our potential as a coffee nation, producing specialty coffee also, and adding value for the thousand families that are engaged producing coffee in Brazil, and deliver quality and sustainability in a cup of coffee across the world.
So tell me about, is the BSCA connected to the SCA?
Yeah, we are like an in-country partner. BSCA is an independent coffee association in Brazil. We was created in 1991 with the end of the ICO quotas.
The quotas.
So, yeah. So when the coffee market was unregulated by the quotas, the Brazilian farmers starts to the will to sell their coffees in a better position of quality and price also. So those farmers in the beginning of the 90s works a lot to present the Brazilian coffee as a specialty coffee. So getting to the Brazilians the opportunity to participate in those markets, the specialty coffee. So in that journey, we create programs and create possibilities, and also help SCA to develop new methodologies, new programs to rise the specialty coffee consuming in the world. So we are a partner, and
But
also,
independent.
yeah, but independent.
Amazing. In this specific episode, we're talking about the relationship between the futures market, tariffs, and Brazilian specialty coffee. So I think where I'd like to start this conversation is how many members are there as a part of the BSCA? To give people, as we start to unfold how big a deal what's going on in the US and the pricing, the futures market is, how many people are a part of the BSCA as members?
Yeah, the specialty coffee market,
Yep.
it's around 20 percent of all the coffee production in Brazil.
Mhm.
So we reach more than 100,000 farmers
Wow.
that are engaged in the specialties, uh, uh, even from the farmers, from the COPs, the cooperatives, and also the exporters. So BSCA has farms, cooperatives, exporters are as their members also, and including the Brazilian specialty industry also.
Mm.
So part of
Okay.
our coffee goes to the world, but we also drink a lot our specialties in Brazil, and that's a new trend happening in Brazil also.
So we're not talking about a small amount of people here. We're talking about a large number of producers here. Now, Vinny, when we look at, let's start at the tariffs, because that's people are worried about prices right now. People are worried about tariffs right now. And there's this myth that what happens in the futures market doesn't impact specialty coffee. We're going to unpack a lot of that stuff here. How are producers in Brazil feeling about these 10% tariffs? And how are you, as the president of the BSCA, feeling about these tariffs that have been imposed on imports into the US for Brazilian coffee?
Tariffs is not a good remedy for trade, for sure, because in the end of the day, those kind of strategies create inflation for the consumers. So, in a situation when we add high coffee prices with tariffs, the rise of the tariffs, in the end of the day, the coffee will cost more for the consumers.
Mm.
And that strategies create another uh, important consequence that is probably rerouting coffee trade. For example, a country that exports coffee for USA and has 10% of tariff, and other countries that has more than 10%, probably the buyer will look uh, to roast coffee in the second place and export to the USA. That's, for example, if the tariffs for Europe remains 20%, probably the European market will pay more to an export the final the roasted coffee to USA than, for example, Brazilian industry. So that kind of tariffs and difference between countries create a new market for coffee trade, and that's not so good because and at the end of the day, we are all all the coffee industry is trying to hide the consumption, and to create new opportunities for new consumers to consume coffee. And in the specialties, that creates an extra challenge is to remain the people paying more for the quality also.
Mm-hmm.
So because in the specialty market, the coffee is not directly linked to the stocked market or the future market.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, all in those days, we are having conversation with buyers and importers that is requesting us, may we have a long-term contract in the specialty coffee market, guarantee quality
Mm.
and also the sustainability, not only for the environmental, but also for economically sustainability for the whole value chain in the coffee. So that's that kind of conversation about price is on the table, even for the specialty coffee market, and the tariffs not help the trade and the strategies to rise the consumption in the world.
So some people may say that, well, why do Brazilian farmers care if they have to find new trade relationships? Because it's not really going to impact Brazilian farmers. The impact is going to be on the American consumer. So when I look at things like tariffs and EUDR, right, these are two things here that are huge coffee consuming populations that don't produce their own coffee, that are almost creating barriers for trade into their economies. And if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that this has the potential to be disruptive, but Brazil can find alternatives to doing trade with these two populations. It just would be better for everybody if there weren't these obstacles that were put in there. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, for sure. But in the end of the day, the trade, the cost of the trade the coffee will cost more. The consumers will pay more. For example, in the UDR
Yeah.
process in the European market, we add more labor to
Mm-hmm.
prove
Yeah.
that the coffee is not from the deforestation
Mm-hmm.
area. That kind of process costs for the farmers, for the exporters, for the whole industry. And that kind of extra cost will go to the European consumers' cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That's no magic in trade. If we demand a new product, if we demand new procedures or add tariffs, the cost of the product in the end of the day will rise. So, and that's not a good
Ideal.
solution for the trade. When we were talking about the barriers, tariffs,
Mm-hmm.
there's three major reasons that the governments do it:
Mm-hmm.
to be more reciprocal,
Mm-hmm.
to raise money to the government,
Yep.
so to, or even to protect themselves, to restrict
Their
trade.
own interests. Right.
Yeah. So we're not talking tariffs or even UDR in a rent basis. How European people will, government will add more tax or
Mm.
raise more money to their public policies or even the American government. But we are talking about restrict and reroute trades.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, if we are not uh, allocating our resource in the more efficient place, in the end of the day, the product will cost more. And even for the coffee industry, in the end of the day, the cost will cost more for the consumers.
And
But Brazil,
go ahead.
as the largest producers, as the larger exporters, we prove our history, prove that we are committed to produce more and in a more efficient way, costing less, and to rise our production to guarantee coffee to the world, to be that's the main message. Brazil as orange is reliable. We are keeping innovating, creating, and to produce more in a sustainable way, because uh, the farmers is the the soil, the farmer, and the place is our asset more and more important.
Hmm.
So we care about it, and to guarantee enough coffee for the consumers. And our numbers prove that committed
Mm.
to be a global partner for the global business industry in the world.
And it seems like the problem that these tariffs and the EUDR regulation, the problems that they want to solve are actual problems. The solution that they're using to implement in order to fix those problems sound like they're going to create bigger problems for our particular supply chain, the coffee supply chain, than they will fix. Because if consumer prices go up, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if consumer prices go up any more than they have been going up because of there was the coffee price crisis that's happening, and then on top of that, we've got these tariffs, I anticipate there could be some demand destruction that comes from this. And if there is demand destruction, that creates a whole new psychology from consumer behavior for the largest population of coffee consumers in the world. And this has this is a negative feedback loop that could last quite a long time. Am I understanding that correctly?
For sure. That's the risk that we are trying to manage as a global coffee community.
Mm.
How to keep the demand rising
Mm-hmm.
and the coffee value for all the coffee supply chain in
Mm-hmm.
the world. So the coffee has proven as an industry a very reliable and profitable industry in the world, growing up uh, year by year, producing more, consuming more, and creating jobs and rent and guaranteed rent across the world. So that's the major problem here. How to grow the coffee industry together. Producers, industry, and the consumers uh, uh, having better quality and better uh, um, in a coffee uh, supply chain more efficient to guarantee the coffee consumption growing across the new decades.
So, Vinny, you just said something that most people are going to turn around and say, what do you mean it's profitable? You said that, coffee is a profitable uh, endeavor for everybody that's involved in it. And in the next episode, folks, we're going to talk about why somebody from Brazil can say that, but somebody from perhaps Colombia or from Peru or from Uganda has a lot more problem saying something like that. So this is the exciting part about why it's important to understand the economics behind our supply chain from all different origin countries. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about the myths of Brazilian coffee market. Join us for that. It's going to be fantastic. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.